All right, Dogs by Nature, Rufio here. Today we're going to be looking at the Ravens' running game and how they use the power O play in their offense, especially once Lamar Jackson took over at quarterback, both with and without options. So the Ravens typically ran this play with Lamar Jackson from more of a spread formation. But with power, I find it really helpful to understand how a traditional kind of I formation team would run this play. So here I've drawn up just a regular I formation with both a tight end and a fullback in the game. They're going against this kind of 4-3 under defense where the line has undershifted and the linebackers have kind of compensated that defensive line shift. So there are four main parts of the power O play. The first main part are these kind of down blocks on the play side. So really what play is designed to do is create a rift in the defense. And that part of that rift is getting these down blocks, getting these good blocking angles, and just really creating overwhelming force to drive the defense this way. And that is mainly accomplished through that double team right here between this right tackle and this tight end. Notice that they are blocking, in this particular instance, blocking defensive end. Typically, that end is not going to be that 340-pound kind of war daddy player. So this tackle is usually going to be bigger than him. And not only that, but he's got a nice angle to go inside on him and kind of crash him down the line of scrimmage. And he's also bringing a tight end to help him. So it's a lot of force kicking that one guy in. Generally speaking here, you're going to get some movement on this end. Then these players, kind of depending on how the play plays out, they're looking to climb up to this kind of weak side linebacker here off of that block. The right guard here in this situation, most situations, is a single block. He doesn't have anyone to help him out. But notice that he does have this great kind of blocking angle down on this one technique nose tackle to just really fire off the ball and create movement there as well. The center also has a down block, but his down block is going to be a little bit different. He has to be aware that this left guard here is going to pull, and that's going to vacate a bunch of space here between the center and the left tackle. So basically, the center is responsible for anybody from a one technique to his left to the backside of the play, all the way to a 4-eye, which is going to be kind of on the inside shoulder of this left tackle here. The center has to make sure that he not only gets there, but that he's able to cut that player off from creating penetration in the backfield. This play can really get blown up if this guard leaves here on this pull and his tackle is that Aaron Donald type of player who's just exceptionally quick, and that tackle can just penetrate in the backfield and just light the ball carrier up. And so it's really key that the center is able to just slow him down enough, get a body on him, and keep him from blowing that play up in the backfield. The last person on the line, this left tackle, is going to make kind of a hinge block. And what that is he's going to step inside, just one step inside, maybe put a hand up there as well, in case there's any kind of stunt here. So if this tackle is coming in, the end was going to loop around, something like that. Maybe if there's going to be a linebacker blitz here. That left tackle is looking to just take that quick jab step inside, make sure nothing immediately is going to come right through that gap. Kind of give his buddy, the center, an extra second to get over there and make his block. And then that tackle is going to hinge to the outside. And that is for this edge rusher here, in case he's coming around the edge. You know, if he is that kind of Myles Garrett, Von Miller type of player who's exceptionally quick, he could come off the edge and also, through backside penetration, blow this play up in the backfield as well. All he needs to do is get a piece of that edge rusher if he is coming around, just kind of bump him out of the way, bump him off course, and that gives the back time to make this run work on the front side. Now with this traditional personnel grouping, what you're going to see here is on power is first the fullback is going to kick out the end man on the line of scrimmage. So in this case, because we're seeing that kind of undershifted 4-3, maybe this is a 3-4 personnel kind of defense as well. Regardless, that's going to be a linebacker here. So that fullback is going to kick this player out. If you've ever heard that famous Vince Lombardi, you know, you're going to hit a seal here, you're going to hit a seal there. That's kind of the seals that we're talking about here. Is the tight end and tackle on this end, pushing him inside, sealing him inside, and that fullback coming from the inside out, kicking this linebacker out. Those create the seals, that creates the alleyway, and the back is going to hit that gap. So the last part of this play is that left guard who we mentioned was pulling. He is going to retreat and pull down the line of scrimmage. And then he is going to either turn or just kind of take his momentum forward and come get this Mike linebacker here. It's the back's job to follow that guard into the hole and then make that guard's block right. So if that guard is able to seal that linebacker inside, the back cuts off of him and goes outside. If that linebacker is really scraping hard over the top and the guard has to kick him outside as well, the running back is going to cut back kind of off that guard's block and just make that linebacker wrong. All right, so now we're going to take a look at the way the Ravens ran this play against the Browns. We can see it's the end of the first quarter here. The score is really close. The Ravens are getting down to that red zone. So they're seeing a 2nd and 7. They probably want to pick up a solid chunk of yards here, just get into a manageable 3rd down and keep this drive alive. As I had talked about before, the Ravens like to run this play with less traditional personnel groupings. In this case, they're running it with 3 wide receivers. The Browns actually match here with their traditional 4-3 personnel. But with 3 wide receivers on the field, the Ravens don't really have anyone in this situation to execute that kind of kick-out block that a fullback normally would. They do have the tight end, and we are going to see the tight end and the play side linemen do those down blocks here and really wash the Browns down the line of scrimmage. But this wide receiver, instead of trying to execute a kick-out block, they're going to send him across the formation in kind of a jet motion, really just as a decoy on the play, as a misdirection. So you can see here from this all-22 angle how strongly B.J. Armstrong reacts to that motion. So the Ravens here didn't have that fullback to kind of put more power at the point of attack. They do have a wide receiver to be able to draw defenders out of the play, which in this case is just as good. All right, here we are from the end zone angle. So we're going to see those down blocks on the front side of this run from the tight end, guard, and tackle. You see, not only did they get those down blocks, but the Browns also were stunting inside here with their linemen. And that actually helped the Ravens, in this case, create that seal by washing these 2 defensive linemen down the line of scrimmage. So as you roll that forward, you can see that here, get nice movement. On the back side of this, you can see here, again, Armstrong running himself out of the play. Schobert, in this case, also takes a couple steps outside. The Browns were doing this kind of double scrape pirate stunt where both these linemen would stunt inside and then the 2 linebackers would come outside. They're doing that quite often in this game, so I don't know if that's kind of what the call was that Schobert had. But in any case, Schobert takes those immediate steps outside and it doesn't really look like he sees this guard disappear. Now, as soon as it's clear that that receiver doesn't have the ball, Schobert really needs to get back to the play side of this play, and I just felt like he got a little caught flat-footed on this one. From this angle, we can also see that Kindred here, the safety, is on a blitz. He is on a blitz, and he is supposed to be blocked by this wide receiver here, but you can see that he disappears so quickly, the receiver is not going to be able to get a good block on him, so he just kind of puts his hand up on him and then decides to move on to his next target outside. Kindred in this particular play does a great job of chopping down this lineman. It's a 300-pound guard he's got to take on. He knows he's not going to win if he goes high, so he just cuts him down and creates a situation where the back has to cut inside of this big pile here. Now, if we count Kindred, which we should because he's in the box, the Browns have enough numbers here to stop the run. You can count in this play, they have 8 players up near the line of scrimmage in the box, and the Ravens only have the 5 down linemen, their tight end, to block the Browns. So the Ravens have 6 blockers, the Browns have 8 players up at the line of scrimmage. The Browns have the numbers advantage here, especially because the Ravens are not reading anyone and optioning anyone with Lamar Jackson here. But sometimes being lucky and out-executing your opponent can make up for that numbers advantage. In this case, these 2 linebackers not being involved in the play allows the Ravens to block everyone else. And because the offense knows where the play is going, which is over to our left here, they're still able to get some yards and block everyone in that area of the field, and that happens to be just enough on this play. So as we roll this forward, we see Kindred chop him down. You can see here Collins is kind of getting blocked by this tight end, right? This tight end gets into this double team with Ogba. Ogba is able to hold this tackle from going up to get Schobert, but instead that makes the tackle stay on Ogba, stay on this double team, and then this tight end is able to come off and get a piece of Collins here. That piece happens to be just enough as Collins feels like he has to kind of get into this tight end here, kind of jack him at the line of scrimmage, and that makes him just a little bit late to kind of be able to redirect his momentum to the outside and get that back. So Collins here maybe could have done a better job of just trying to slice around that tight end instead of really, getting up on him, physically hitting him so hard. He could have taken a little bit off that hit and been able to redirect a little bit more outside here. But in this case, the back is able to just escape that tackle, and he's able to outrun Schobert, who, because of those false steps to the right and being a little flat-footed, is behind the play, and the Ravens are able to get 12 yards, get a first down, and get inside the red zone. Big backbreaker for the Browns in the first quarter. All right, so here's another version of that play where the Ravens run it again from a non-traditional personnel grouping. This time they send the slot wide receiver in jet motion, but to the front side of this play. Last time they sent the motion to the backside. This time it's the front side. So that's something the Ravens did pretty well in this game, is motioning those receivers opposite directions so you can't tell before the play, oh, if I see that jet motion coming to me, then we're going to get power going the other way or something like that. So the other thing to note about this kind of power play that the Ravens ran, especially when they read it, the Ravens like to run it to the trip side, or what eventually becomes the trips or three wide receiver side. So with inside zone that we looked at last week, that kind of slice block, they like to slice that back away from the trip side. In this case, they like to run to the trip side. So that's a clear tendency that I saw. I don't know how much it matters because of what the Ravens were able to do. They read people on both sides of the formation, and as a defensive coordinator, you kind of weren't able to just outnumber one side or the other and felt like, you knew what was coming on that side. Okay, one last thing of note in this play, these are not optioned runs, right? These two power plays I've shown you for the Ravens so far are not options. You can see Jackson, you can kind of read his head. He only looks down the field at the very last minute. So if he were reading something, he'd really have to be reading out of the corner of his eye. So that's kind of one giveaway, but the other giveaway that I trust a lot more than a quarterback's head is what is happening with the blocking. Now with blocking, you would notice the edge man on the line of scrimmage, the end man on the line of scrimmage, would be being read, but in this case, they are trying to block everyone in the play and not leaving anyone on the end of the line of scrimmage for the quarterback to read. But a clear tendency I saw from the Ravens in this game was to run a no read with the running back coming downhill and the quarterback going side to side. Now, we're going to see in the next couple plays when they do run an option, when Lamar Jackson is reading a player, they're going to flip that. And that's another thing I think the Ravens need to clean up in terms of their scheme if they want to keep running this type of offense. As soon as a defender, if you see this back heading downhill and Jackson heading outside in this configuration here, you know that the keep is not a real option and you can play that back right away. Okay, so in this instance of power, we're going to see the Ravens run power, but they are going to option a player with Lamar Jackson. If you remember last week, we talked about with the inside zone, that kind of split zone play. If the defense has two high safeties, the offense can run the ball and they don't need to run the quarterback. When the defense drops one of those safeties into the box, which the Browns have done here, defense retakes that numbers advantage. But if the offense is willing to option a player, they regain that numbers advantage. Okay, so here the Browns have a 7-man box. They've got basically your 4 down linemen, and I'm including these stand-up defensive ends here. They have 3 linebackers or 2 linebackers and the safety in the game. That equals 7. The Ravens have 5 down linemen, 1 tight end. That's 6. And then they get to option 1 more with the quarterback and running back. We see again power. And in this instance, the Ravens do leave a man unblocked. So in this case, it's going to be Genard Avery. And we're going to see the tight end doesn't down block him. The tight end arcs around to come get the safety up here. The pulling guard doesn't try to kick him out. The guard leaves him alone and wraps up to get the mic here. And then the Ravens option Avery so that he can't be right. If he stays inside with Lamar Jackson, Lamar gives the ball to the running back. If Avery goes outside with the back, Jackson's going to pull that and cut it up inside and follow that guard. In this case, Avery kind of came down to the inside, so Jackson gave the ball to his back. His back is able to turn the corner. He goes untouched 12 yards on 2nd and 10. We can see power again, and in this case, it's a tough block for the center. Remember, I talked about anyone between that 1 technique on his outside shoulder and the 4-eye all the way inside the tackle. That center has got to go get him. In this case, the Browns do have a 4-eye on the field, and so the center has to go all the way across. and just get enough of Ogbah here to keep him from penetrating on the backside. It's a great job by that center. You can see that kind of hinge block by this left tackle here, Stanley. He's going to take just that one step inside, jab, and just make sure there's no immediate penetration in that gap to his right. And then he's going to hinge back outside to get anyone coming around the edge. On the front side of the play, we get these down blocks again, just trying to wash players down the line of scrimmage, get Ogunjobi inside here, and the tackle's going to make sure he goes inside and then try to climb to get that weak side linebacker here. Left guard is going to pull around. In this case, he's going to leave Avery because they're optioning Avery, and he's going to wrap to get Schobert, who's the middle linebacker. So we can see here, if Avery goes outside with the back and Jackson decides to keep this ball, he's going to get a seal here, he's going to get a seal here, and he's going to have running room right up the middle. Then in the last part of this play, we can watch Avery here. So on the snap, he's going inside, and Jackson just kind of reads him, getting sucked inside like that, decides to give the ball to his back, who's on that horizontal track, thinking that back's momentum is going to take him outside Avery. Avery's not going to be quick enough to catch up to him. Sure enough, he's right. So that back is able to turn the corner on Avery and get a whole bunch of yardage and another first down. All right, so last play we're going to look at here. Ravens are actually trailing 7-3, but it's a 3rd and 4 down at the 25-yard line going in. So it's a pretty key third down for the Ravens. They need to pick up some yardage here, and they decide to put their quarterback on the line and run some option plays. In this case, it is going to be that power option or that kind of inverted veer option. And we're going to see, again, the Ravens' tendency to run this play to a trip side. So they're going to motion the tight end across formation here, creating trips to the right, and the play is going to be run to that side. On the snap of the ball, we can see again, power, down blocks on the play side, trying to create that seal, wash these Browns linemen down the line of scrimmage. We get a pull from that guard to kick out and create the other seal, which is actually going to be on this linebacker here. But instead of the tight end blocking this linebacker and trying to kick him out as a fullback would in power, that tight end is actually going to arc around and look for somebody else to block. Because in this case, Jackson is reading that linebacker who is the end man on the line of scrimmage. The Browns really flow hard with that back, flowing outside to stop that back. You can see on this, especially this puller, can barely even reach that linebacker Schobert because he's flying outside so hard to take the back. And this is really the stress that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens put on your defense. All it takes is one player falling for misdirection, reacting too hardly to a fake, right? One step out of position, and Lamar Jackson is fast enough that he is in the end zone, and there's 6 points on the board. We've talked a lot about arithmetic and kind of numbers in the box. Here the Browns have a 7-man box. They've got these 4 down linemen. They've got 2 linebackers, and then Peppers is playing almost as a linebacker himself. The Ravens only have 6 blockers, right? They only have the 5 down linemen and this tight end. But in this case, that's plenty because they're able to option that 7th guy, and then the Ravens are able to go untouched in the end zone. All right, Browns fans, that's it for me. You saw power with and without a read here, Power O. You saw it from kind of traditional personnel as well as from more spread personnel the Ravens are running it from. Make sure to check out dogsbynature.com for any of your Cleveland Browns news and analysis. I'm Rufio. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.